Alafia, this is Ianifa Owini Adina Dulcimi Omi Shango, and my Otunfa is in a couple of months. And so I was thinking about the journey and where it all began. And not specifically like just you know, quote unquote spiritual awakening aspect of it, but specifically about Ifa and Isheshe. And so when I scuttered Orisha, um, like 99, I'm gonna say 99, maybe 98, I might be generous, of the practitioners who I was following and learning from were Lokumi. And, I won't go into the reasons why, but just there's certain things I just didn't feel like I was gonna ever initiate. But I thought that the practice was beautiful. And I am extremely grateful for having such a good Ori because the way I was led was not to Odisha, like as being the focal point first. Where I was led was my Ori being first and then my ancestors. And it was like, okay, and the more I learned about Ori and more I continue to learn about Ori, the more, especially from an Isheshe perspective, like when you look at Isheshe, it's like the primordial energies, who are you honoring, who are you venerating, who are you going to first when you are in need of support? And it is always, you consult of your head, you consult of your Ori. And that to me was such a radical concept, especially my particular Abrahamic religion that I grew up in. I grew up as an Israelite, not the purple and gold ones. Um, and, you know, they didn't say it, but I had plenty of other friends in other Abrahamic religions, and they were always like, lean not on your own understanding. And then you get to ATR and you get to Isheshe, and it's like God, Ori, consult of your Ori. And that was such a radical idea. It's like, wait, especially when you really like peel the layers of Ori back and understanding Ori as the totality of who you are. Limiting Ori like it's just your head. No, it's not. There are parts of your Ori that are within your head, and there's parts of Ori that are in your heart, and it's part of your Ori that is in your name. Your Ori is the embodiment of who you are. Your Ori is everything. It is the spark of Olodumare. It's the God spark that makes you who you are. It is the part of you that remembers you are not separate from the Most High. You and the Most High are one. Your Ori, your specifically your Ipanri, chose your body. This is the temple of your Ipanri. So now you're like, okay, so then this is also, this whole thing is part of my Ori system, my whole body. That's why you get messages from spirit and you can feel them in your body. This is why you can get an intuitive yes in your body. And so when I look at Ori, and then when you look at the Odu that came forward, the letter of the year, for the world, when they met for the Isheshe New Year, they didn't just divine for Yoruba land, they divined for the world. And then you get Otudo Ogbe, which one of its nickname is Ori Ire. That means Ori is like center, but it should be center every year. Like it should. Like it should be the like should. Um, and to think about Ori as concept and what that would do for the Black community. Like how would honoring the Ori be supportive to Black Americans in the African American diaspora? So many don't trust of us grow up not fully trusting ourselves in our own decision making and being on the right path. And being able to just say, okay, go to yourself, go within. And a lot of people say go within, but you don't really, they don't explain it. And a lot of times it's not explained from an African lens or a Black lens. So what does that look like for Black people to go within as it relates to Ori? Ori is the God in you. Ori is your connection to God. When you say prayers to your Ori, they are going directly to the Most High, because the Ori and the Most High are one. There is no separation. This is just simply an additional extension of the Most High. And the Most High is not fragmented. God is not broken off into all these pieces and making people. Energy is not created nor destroyed. It is simply changing forms. And so one of its many forms is your Ori. So the Ori is the source energy of you. So when you hear Isheshe practitioners saying they're consulting of their Ori, it doesn't mean they have separated themselves from God. That is our conduit. That is our connection. That is the voice of God in us. So that is why we go to our Ori. And we go to our Ori first, because nothing comes to us without the sanction of our Ori. So if the Ori is God in us, then nothing comes to us without God's sanction within us. So we go to our Ori, and then recognizing your Ori is you. It is your face, it's your body. And so that sign that God is with you, that so many of us have been looking for, has been looking at us in the mirror our entire life. But because a lot of us have grown up in a religious system that has poisoned our ancestors and thus vicariously poisoned us by way of the teachings being passed down, we don't see that. And a lot of us walk around like, they think they're the most high. In a literal sense, we are. It doesn't mean people who recognize themselves as God, it doesn't mean that they believe they are bigger than God. That means that they know that they and God are one. They are not separate from God. And that is a completely different thing. Recognizing your oneness with the Creator, oneness with the Source, indicates you realize you are not doing this by yourself. You and Source are doing this together. Together. And so when I go to my Ori, it is like me honoring that part of me that is one with God, and trusting that God is going to speak to me directly. And that's a thing, because people are like, well, I gotta go in so and so to hear God. No, you don't. No, you don't. And it's crazy because the energy that you venerate so strongly told you that. You don't have to go anywhere. You have to go to you, because that's where God is. And being able to see God in everybody else. And this is not about people being awake, asleep, or anything like that. You notice I don't often use that language, because it is simply a way to put yourself as separate from everyone else's experience. Everyone is just simply at a different place spiritually, and just leave it like that. You are realizing that the teachings that were given to your ancestors were meant to subdue, were meant to control, that were meant to belittle, they were meant to dehumanize and demean. And once you realize that there wasn't anything taught to your ancestors that was actually supposed to be for the benefit of the ancestors. The skills and craftsmanship and things that they were doing, they brought those skills with them. They were taught language here that was different from their own language. One of my goddaughters said they inherited religion as a consequence, not a blessing, because they had religion, they had a relationship with God, and in order to control them, they were separated from it. They were separated from it, as if, and then their descendants now believe, well, they were separated because they didn't believe in God. To whose benefit would it be for you to believe that your ancestors never had a relationship with God? Yours or theirs? So looking at Ori puts us in this position of I'm part of the co-creation process. And now that I know that I'm part of the co-creation process, I have this measure of one, accountability. What am I co-creating in my life? Two, control. And yes, there are some things that are destiny fated and that are outside the sphere of your control. But that doesn't mean it's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that with practice you can control. And I saw this with somebody's like, just let it happen. No, that is the beauty of our ancestors recognizing their connection to the creator is that they didn't simply allow things to happen. They didn't simply allow things to happen. They were in flow of their destiny, but they also knew destiny was also in flux. And the things that were not concrete, like hard coded moments in their destiny, anything was open to be able to shift it and mold it so that it was for their highest and their greatest good. If somebody chose an Ori or a destiny before incarnating and it was going to be really hard, they would divine as a baby. They would intercede as a baby and say, yo, I don't know why this little person decided to pick all this mess for their journey, but we got to rectify some of this. This is, we're not doing this. This is to get somebody else to do it. And so they would do whatever ceremonies, rituals, offerings that were needed in order to rectify that situation. Some people don't know and they go through really hard lives. But it doesn't have to stay that way. And there's nothing anyone's going to be able to do to change what you have already experienced. The only thing you can do now is go forward. So where are you going? And what do you want it to look like? And how much of it are you going to allow to just happen? And how much of it are you going to be like, hey, so you're telling me that all I got to do is change lanes? Like I can keep on the same road. I just got to switch lanes so that I don't have to get hit by a boulder. I'm changing lanes. I don't need to get hit by the boulder. I'm good. Seeing the boulder coming and being able by is completely fine with me. And that's what divination does. It's a roadmap. You don't always need to know what you need to ask. You just get the wisdom for the moment. Why? Because our ancestors didn't like to get caught slipping. They didn't get caught slipping. They consulted of their head, they inquired of Ifa, so they didn't get caught slipping. And consulting of your Ori first puts you in this position of, I can do it. I got this. I can do it. I know exactly what needs to be done, and I can do it. The reason why getting divination is beneficial, especially for people who are new in their Ori journey, is because it is still a consultation with your Ori. That is who Orunmila is speaking to. Orunmila is speaking to your Ori when you go get divination. So you're still getting kind of consultation from your head, but if you are someone who has not yet developed a strong trust in your intuition, and you need to be sure that you heard what you heard, you understood, you see all the message sign, and you just want to make sure that what you're getting is what you should be doing, like move accordingly. Then cool, you get a divination to confirm that if you are not someone who is able to divine for yourself. Cool. But starting with you, like I'm not looking outside myself, even though truth be told, your spiritual core is not outside of you. They are facets of you. Different conversation. But you're starting here. You're starting right here. And you're like, yo, this is what I want in my life. See it. Whether you can see it literally or you can just see it enough to where you can kind of like story tell it. See it. How does it feel in your body? Does it make you nervous, excitement? Is it scary? Like, oh my God, that could actually be real. Does it feel ill? And it's like, it's probably not for you. Let your Ori speak to you about what that thing feels like. And then this is where asking the right questions, I'm gonna do a whole thing on that. Asking the right questions comes into play because then it's like, okay, this is what we want to do. Now, how do I get it done? What's the inspired action? Is it simply just prayers, and offerings? Rarely is it just that. There's character work that coincides with the blessing, whether that is being a bit more courageous, whether that is dressing different, whether that is speaking differently. There's some character work things that will take place in order to help you shift your energy so that your energy matches up with the thing it is that you're trying to manifest. And your Ori, by and large, can help do that. And then if your Ori, in choosing your destiny, has said, hey, when I get to this point in my destiny, I'm going to allow, because your Ori has to give sanction. So I'm going to allow so and so to help be the conduit to help facilitate that change. So it might be your Ori and your ancestors. It might be your Ori and your egg bay. It might be your Ori and Orisha. It might be your Ori and angels. It is whomever your Ori has sanctioned as the best possible conduit to align to this part of your destiny. And then that is who is going to be supporting you. Just imagine if just one in 100 started honoring their Ori, it's going to ripple out. Because when you start Ori work, you understand that not only honoring your own, but honoring the Ori of the ones that you love has an impact. Honoring the Ori of the ones that you love, that you care about, even if you can't have a physical relationship with them, it has an impact. It has an impact. So I would encourage folks to learn more about honoring their Ori. I did an Ori class for my students, and I'm going to post it. I'll either post the raw version that I did for them so that way you can hear some of the questions they asked in the conversation, or I'll just re-record it straight. One of the two is going to happen. But I'm going to post the Ori class and make it available on my site for you to purchase and watch. And I'll put some like questions and some exercises and things with it so that you can begin your own personal journey of honoring your Ori. So if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Ashe.